Good morning everyone, I'm here to do your What's Cracking reading. This will be my last one now before I go away. I'm not sure if I'll do one tomorrow, but if I feel like it I certainly will, and certainly if I'm getting nudged to do that. I'm now going to be on holidays until round about the 23rd of January. I will put that on my email on Facebook. It doesn't mean you can't book readings for the week I come back, and one would suggest it might not be a bad idea to do that because I think I probably get quite busy when I come back. So if you really want to have a reading, maybe a good idea to think about that now. www.theaussiegoddess.com. But I won't be taking emails, answering emails or anything while I'm away. I'm going to have a complete downtime, which I haven't done for quite some years. So I'm going to go live this morning after I've done these readings, and I'm going to do the star signs live for you. I've done that once before. I can pretty much get it in around about an hour. So if you want to join me for that at 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, I'll be live. What else? I can't think of anything else, but I do want to say going into 2022, thank you to all you beautiful people and your support. So many of you have followed me, you know, pretty much the whole time I've been on YouTube, and we're sort of surpassing 3 years now. And it's been such a beautiful journey for me, and I know so many other people have told me, you know, how the journey's been for them and how much they've gained from the information or the readings from Spirit. And I just want to say I'm really grateful to have you on my journey. I'm really grateful for this beautiful family, and I heard somebody say that yesterday on the live. I think that each and every one of you that have watched me for a long time, and possibly new people on board, really understand that we have a beautiful community here. We really do. It's rare for me to have to, you know, remove anything that isn't healthy. Let's say that. So thank you, and I'm sure I'll miss doing the readings over the holiday. I know that I've done a few days here and there, but I've certainly never done 2 weeks. I hope I don't miss you too much. All right, we're going to do the reading with the Albino Rider-Waite Tarot. So let's see how we go with this. I love it when we start with such a strong and powerful card. This morning I shared something by Teal Swan on my Facebook page at the Aussie Goddess. I've been doing a lot of thought and putting a lot of energy into what we think of as manifestation this week. I feel that sometimes, and it really came up in her little, it's only an 8-minute update, you know, how sometimes we forget how our thinking impacts who we are and what we're doing. And you know this because I say it very often. You know, when you're having a down day and things go wrong, you start to get in this energy of what is going on, why are things going wrong? And then before you know it, more things start to happen until you actually stop and break that and go, hang on a moment, this is where I'm at and I need to pull back. And I also know, for me, music is such a soul lifter for me. So if I'm having, you know, a sad day, rather than listening to sad music, I actually listen to uplifting music. And I've always talked about the fact that I will dance too. And it really does lift my vibrations. So I'd have a look at it. If you're on my Facebook already, it will be up there. I've put some stuff up on manifestation this week. But if you're not on my Facebook page, then look up Teal Swan. And I think she's just called it manifestation. It really is like an 8 minutes that's worth watching. So go and have a look at it. So when I see the Emperor coming up here, I feel like the energy of the Emperor is like that. We're talking about sort of fully standing in your power, really understanding who you are. This is a person that's very often, you know, very self-aware, well-educated, very experienced, carries a lot of experience with them. So they are what we call the divine masculine, which means this particular energy encompasses all 4 kings. So there's a very strong feeling that this person is a natural born leader. They're true to who they are. they don't wear a mask. Now, sometimes people talk about the Emperor being a little bit controlling. I don't feel that it's controlling as in controlling others. I feel that it's a very controlled energy. So it's an energy that comes across as someone who is fully aware of their emotions, is the observer in their own life, and is really standing in their own power. All right, so the Hanged Man's come through. So I'm really feeling this Emperor energy. I feel this is definitely your energy, especially with the Hanged Man here, because the Hanged Man says to me that perhaps you've done a lot of thinking or a lot of contemplation lately about who you are and how to reach the best possible version of yourself in the Emperor energy. So you may be starting to see things from a different perspective because you are becoming the observer in your own life. You are starting to understand how to observe what you do, your behaviors. You know, Eckhart Tolle talks about, you know, living in the moment. And I know I often recommend that book to people. It is a hard read. It is a little academic. So it's probably, if you're not really a book reader or an avid book reader, then you can download that on YouTube. And it's an exceptionally good book for learning how to live in the moment. If we are present at all times in our life, or for most of the time, we all drift off into little daydreams. But if we're present for the most part in our life, we start to see ourselves, our behavior, we see other people's behaviors, and it gives us an opportunity to choose whether we live with that or whether we change or pay attention to something in a very different way. So it may be something you've grown accustomed to the way you do it, but maybe now you've become more of an observer in your life. You may be starting to see that from a little bit of a different perspective, like how does that really serve me? So we're starting to become much more awakened to step into our power. And I feel like I'm talking to a lot of people at the moment who are in this energy of really taking in how they see their external world, but also taking in how the internal world looks. What I love about it when you become the observer is you don't feel quite as judgmental as others or other situations. You become much more aligned with that is their journey and this is my journey. However, it gives us the opportunity to recognize that and not allow it to trigger us or upset us or create any sort of conflict within us. So the Hanged Man is telling me this is the energy you're in. Wow, look at this. Okay, so we have the Strength card coming through, and the Strength card for me is about taming your inner demons. It's about looking at those parts of yourself that you feel no longer serve you. So, you know, if it's a part of yourself that you're not seeing or you're not being the observer, then this energy is very hard or much harder to distinguish. But we do it, and you do pick up on it sometimes, and other times you may not so much. So I've talked a little bit lately about triggers, and triggers are something we develop fairly early in our lives, although we can start to develop them later. But for many of us, the triggers we have been with us for a long time and become a natural part of who we are. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday about some of the triggers that I started to understand. If you've been raised by a narcissistic parent, you're going to relate to this very strongly. Narcissism is very self-righteous. So if you've been with a parent who's been self-righteous or narcissistic, their ideas and thinking is their belief that that's the way it is. So you grow up thinking the same thing. Okay, so I think this, therefore that is what it is. And there are certain things about self-righteousness and over-responsibility, as I call it, where we believe that our need to control everything is important because that's what we believe. That's our who we are. So for me, the biggest thing that I've had to come to terms with is things like people littering, throwing cigarettes out of cars, not really caring about the environment. And I remember years later looking at my natal chart and realizing that some of that is actually embedded in my natal chart. So I used to get very angry. I would want to just get out of my car and go and hand the cigarette back to the person, or get out of my car and, you know, give them the litter and tell them to put it in the bin. And when I started to do the work, I started to realize that was my need for control. I can't control what other people do. You know, and I did sort of talk about that in a comment not so long ago on YouTube, and somebody replied to me and said, yeah, but it's good to influence people. Influence to me is not the best term to use, because I feel like influence can be quite a negative thing. What I feel it really comes down to is role modeling. So role modeling the type of behaviour that you want to see, and if people choose not to follow that, that's fine. That's their journey. But it really does start to sort of you to understand how deeply embedded this becomes within you. It becomes part of who you are, and it sits in your shadow side, and it does influence the way you do things. But when you start to see it for yourself, or it's brought to your attention, or you know, somebody else brings it to your attention, where you have that epiphany moment and you think, I've been doing this 11:11 on the clock. I've been doing this for a really long time, and it's been natural to me. I never realized I had this sort of attitude or this approach to things that isn't really healthy. So it's coming through very strongly in the Strength card here. Now, I can totally understand what this card is here for now. These things that I'm talking about here, these triggers, these energies, these attitudes, these self-righteous, controlling ways of being, impact our life so strongly that we don't have room to be happy about the things we should be happy about. So it's very much about having a look at the way you think, the way you do things, observing the sort of behaviors you have, because if you can put them aside, then you're leaving more room in your life for the happiness that you are meant to be experiencing. And I think this is why the teal swan thing really appealed to me as a little segment, because she talks in there about raising your vibration. So every time you get one of these little negative things, these triggers, these energies, instead of focusing on the control or the energy, focus yourself on something that makes you feel good. Now, whatever that is for you, what you can do, and there's an NLP technique for raising that energy. So if you can get yourself into an energy where you've watched a movie that was good, or you've had a moment that was good, or something's made you really happy, you can capture that moment. So if you sit in that moment and really feel it, you can actually capture that. So when you're feeling down or flat, you can raise yourself up with that thought. And you can do that. And when I was suffering really badly with panic disorder, that was how I worked out how to get myself out of the energy of spiraling. So when I started to spiral and get really negative and get really down, I actually captured, I worked a lot with NLP during that time, and I actually captured what made me feel good. And I could summon it just by pushing my thumb and finger together. So all you've got to do is get into the feeling and press your thumb and finger together so you remember the feeling. And now when I do that, it automatically raises it for me. The same as if I say relax, my body just gives. So the word, the energy that you use to do that, you can actually evoke higher level energy just by teaching yourself that. And then you can move this aside and find the room to feel really on top of things. Now, the King of Wands energy is about leadership. It's about forward thinking. It's fiery, passionate, driven energy. And that is what is hiding under this energy. So it's like you're hiding, as I always say, your light under a bushel. So it's there. It's there in every one of you, but you're hiding it underneath something here. So when I see the King of Wands, and especially with the beautiful star card behind it, I feel like I need to say to you, inside of you, there is this beautiful, passionate energy, this fiery energy that you've got hidden away underneath all of those things that hold you back. So when I see the star, I feel You need to understand who you are. You are a star. You are this beautiful energy. This is faith, trust, healing, all encompassed in this card. It is about your destiny, your future. So there is a real strong feeling that I'm talking to many people today who are right in the middle of this process. Maybe you've already reached Empress status. Maybe you really are sort of channeling this divine energy. But maybe you're somewhere on the journey there where you're just learning how to raise your vibration and get yourself into that energy. So it was really opportune this morning that I had turned on. I used to watch Till Swan all the time, and I sort of moved on a little bit and started watching other things. But I don't know, I came across it this morning and I thought that's what people need to hear at the moment. So I have posted it for you. So the Hierophant comes through here. So what I want to say to you is this sort of energy here encompassed in the Hierophant talks about stability. It talks about letting go of old traditions, leaving old traditions behind and finding a beautiful, stable place within yourself that you've been looking for. So if you've been going up and down, trying to work out how to manifest, there's your little look into it, and we have the Fool coming through. So even in the personal readings lately, we've been seeing a lot of major arcana. So I do feel there's a lot of movement and energy in the planet or on the planet at the moment. The Fool card talks about taking a leap of faith. It's a new beginning. It means you've completed a cycle. You've reached a level of, I would say, not just stability, but you've reached a level of understanding here with the High Priest. And somehow or another, you are now ready to move forward with the Fool card. So you're ready to take the leap of faith into something new. And I feel like this is 2022. Now, even though we still have a little bit of a shadow hanging over us from the last 2 years, it's like the sun is starting to shine through now. I think people are starting to become more comfortable living with the changes that we've had. So, oh, look, and then we have another major arcana. We have Temperance coming through, and then the World. Look at that. 4 major arcanas to start our reading off. So I feel here there is definitely stability, there is balance, there's a brand new beginning, and there's a closing off of old things. Straightforward. I could complete the reading right there. I feel strongly that for a lot of you here, you are completing old cycles. You're starting to understand the patterns that have held you back. For other people, you may just be coming into this energy where you're starting to observe the way you do things. But for you, it may have become very embedded or very natural for you to, as for all of us, for you to feel that way. So it's harder to recognize until something is really sort of put in front of you. The funny part is, as I said, you can see it in other people, but you never sort of see it in yourself. Like, for example, negativity, big one. So you can hear other people being negative. You might even look at other people and think, wow, that person's really negative. But then in the next breath, you're walking away and saying something very negative in the way you speak. But you don't notice that because it's natural for you to speak that way. You know, I studied language as a part of sociology, and I really feel sometimes we do not even know how much is embedded in our language that is sexist, racist, negative, all of those things. It's so embedded in our language that sometimes someone has to point it out to you before you see it. But I talk about things like the word try, because try is a really redundant word. If you're trying, you're never going to succeed, right? Because you're always in the energy of trying. So it's about do, and Yoda said that in Star Wars. You know, there is no try. You do it or you don't. If you do it and it doesn't succeed, or you don't get the result you're looking for, then you may go back and redo it. So I feel like here for a lot of you, you're in somewhere in that journey, somewhere in that stage. For others of you, I feel like you've already completed this and you will be sitting in front of me going, yep, that's exactly where I am. I know that because I read for you. All right. Oh, wow. And then we have the Empress coming through. 5 major arcanas on the table. 8 of Swords with the 4 of Wands. So all I see here is rebirth. I see stability. I see letting go of old habits. I see abandoning here. abandoning old habits, old ways of doing things. Beautifully set here. Page of Pentacles coming through with the 7 of Pentacles and okay. Let's just talk about this energy. I don't think I'd have to explain this to a lot of you, but I'm going to anyway. The Page of Pentacles for me is about some sort of offering. It can mean a job, it can be an experience, it can be a relationship, a date. It's something more solid though. It may be a little win in the lottery. It could be signing up for a study course. The Ace of Pentacles is a brand new beginning. It's something that's built in stability. And then I see the 7 of Pentacles here. So the universe, which I always see as the Page of Pentacles, the universe offering you an opportunity. An opportunity to grow those seeds, to nurture the seeds, to bring them into fruition so you can manifest a brand new beginning. Now, for some of you, this may be in regards to career or work. For others, it may be in regards to a relationship. But what the universe is saying here, and I feel like this is the month of January, for many of you, you're going to be stepping into the energy of manifestation. And you're going to bring forth this pentacle. Because you're in an energy, high vibrating energy, Emperor, Empress here. Very high vibrating energy. There is stability with the 4 of Wands. There is a feeling of closing out old cycles and a feeling of brand new beginnings. Now, for some of you, because I have the Emperor, Empress and the 4 of Wands here, this may be a brand new beginning in love. You may be letting go of old issues, old relationships, old cycles, old patterns, and you may be moving into a brand new energy. What a beautiful reading. All right, so I have you standing in your power. I feel like you're seeing things from a different perspective. You may have done the work on yourself already. You're moving aside any sort of heartbreak to bring through the leader that sits within you so that you can walk towards or move towards your destiny. I feel like here there is a great feeling here that you've achieved something pretty magnificent and you're going to see the results of that. Beautiful energy coming through. I do not need to put another card on the Ace of Pentacles. I think it speaks for itself. All right, let's pull you an oracle card though and see what Spirit has to add. Oh, we have the Void here. So I'm going to pull another card to go with that because I've been pulling the Void in readings quite a bit lately, and I'll explain to you here. And then we have Hiereth. So the Void talks about, it's like the great cosmic womb, as it says on the card. Now, what that really talks about is we're nurturing something, the collective. So we're talking about the collective energy here. And it's like we're all in this energy of change, and we're all pregnant. We're all in that Empress energy, all ready to birth something new. We know something is coming. We know it's here because we've achieved a level within ourselves, that temperance, the stability, that closing out of old patterns, and we're waiting. So this says to me that you are waiting for the next step of your journey. Now, I do have the card of Hiereth coming through here, and it talks about longing for home and homesick for the stars. So I'm going to read that one. Hiereth is a Welsh word. Now, somebody said that to me. I have a few Welsh viewers here, so I know somebody already talked about this word. That's difficult to translate, but it refers to a certain longing or homesickness, a yearning for home or place to which we cannot return. Now, what I'm feeling like here, this may be an energy of returning home to yourself. This unexplainable, unshakable longing for home is common in starseeds and old souls. Perhaps you've had it since birth, which is so very true. For some, it's a distant memory of a planet, galaxy, or star system in the universe that their soul remembers and yearns to return to, a place they may have experienced more than Earth. For others, it's a longing for the unity of Source, a remembering of interconnected oneness. And that's what I feel you are seeing here with the Void. We are working more towards the oneness of the collective. This yearning can lead some starseeds to travel, searching all corners of the planet. And some of us really embed ourselves in our education. We keep learning and learning and learning in hope that somehow we'll fill that gap within us. For others, it can manifest as a need to find home in people, communities, and relationships. And I feel like a lot of people on this planet do that, thinking that if they have formed a really solid union with someone, that somehow they will come home. I feel like what is here, because it talks about being called to anchor all of your presence, your personality, your soul, and your spirit in the here and now, to fully commit to living this life right now, to commit to putting 2 feet completely in. And I feel like this is what this energy is. It's like rebirthing in us that place called home that we need to find within who we are. I'll leave you with that. I'll see you after my holiday. Thanks, folks. See ya.